So this is kind of the discrete order of appearances, and the place where I now speak from just fits perfectly, because I also speak from a place of exhaustion. I don't know you. Very probably I won't ever know any of you. I'm not even sure it is possible to know anyone at all. If at all, I only have a very rudimentary understanding of where you're coming from and what you're doing. What I believe to know is that what I am doing is futile. What we are doing is futile. For me, this is where its meaning comes from. What poetry feeds on from. To keep futility unbending. Exhaustion resonates. We are already living beyond. Christ died and has risen. Muhammad died. Revolution happens and changed. I listen. Maybe that's all I can do. Some will resonate, though I probably won't understand. For me, this is where meaning comes from. What poetry can do. Provide a space where the overwhelmingly complex, irreducible, indeterminate, inconsistent realities of being in the world, language, relationality, responsibility, time can be addressed, can be related to, may be acted upon towards, even if not understood or even just so. Strangely, estranging, where it is safe enough to not understand, to feel insecure, afraid, exhausted, vulnerable, embarrassed, futile, ashamed, not content, not affirmative, not nice, shying away, ignorant, lapsed, confronting, limited, finite, resound, reflecting. Poetry, through the ways it relates to time, is restructuring it, inviting, providing time to build meaning from resonance, reflection, being addressed, spoken to, or refrain from, resist, resonance towards the politics of exhaustion. What I love about books is their discretion, inviting, providing a choice. The reader decides on how to engage or not. This in itself is deeply political. With performance, it's different. Voice is inherently violent, trespassing. So taking care is crucial for the context, for the people entrusting me with their time. Maybe I will talk about some questions I have concerning my own work, or just to projects I'm currently involved in. So, as a publisher, right now I'm working on an anthology. It will be called All This Here Majesty Is Yours, poetry in the Anthropocene. And we're doing this as a collaboration with the German Museum in Munich, which is the biggest museum for nature and technology in the world, and so for science, sorry. So one thing working with the institution was interesting, or was important to me, especially concerning this this topic about what can a poetry or eco-poetics in the 21st century, or a different approach to nature poetry, and being inside an institution like that, or in collaboration with an institution like that, what can this do? So because the colonialism inside science and the colonialism and patriarchy inside an institution like that, how can this be addressed and challenged? And so I think it's so one thing is just to go into the institution and change the institution, because what is institution? It's just maintaining time, and so you restructured that in going into it, and so just very basically, for not only for a project like that, but especially for a project like that, to take care for that what you choose as the poems in the anthology, that it's like almost half or female voices, that you have voices in a German language anthology whose first language is not German, or that you have of course people not only from Christian backgrounds, that you have Muslim backgrounds, that you have Jewish backgrounds, other backgrounds, people of color. So this seems very basic, but still most of the time is not cared for, and that you have something like poetry inside an institution like that. And of course, so when I came into the project, like it's poems and essays, and of course at first all the essays were by men, like important scientists, and how would they write about the Anthropocene, and what's the Anthropocene, and what could poetry be inside a framework like that. And so just to talk to them why it's important to not only have scientists and not only have male voices and like stuff like that. And then of course when you have a language framework, still it's thought of mainly in terms of nations, like a national literature and a national language. So for Germany, you don't only have Germany, so of course it's considered that Austria and Switzerland and Luxembourg and Liechtenstein and northern Italy are also parts of the German language communities, but it's an hierarchy still, and so whom are you choosing? Whom are you providing with space to speak, and what languages? And so what is like for our case? What is German language literature? What is German literature at the moment? Is German literature a German language literature, or what languages are part of it, or what is the relation of place and language? And so I think this is one of the most politically challenging things at the moment, especially if you're looking to more complex texts, that you refrain from nationalized languages, that of course people, or it's like it's in the bodies of people more and more that there's more than one language, or maybe it never was the case that there was only one language. And so what does this do to literature, and what does this do to the audiences, and what does this do to understanding? And so that you have languages, and there are many, still many places, many countries where it's not allowed to speak your own language, even if you're from this place. And so who are you addressing, or who are you leaving out if you're using one language or not, and if you speak it, or if you write it and print it and have it in a book, and it's something just some deeply irritating thing going on there, and so just to expand the understanding, or irritate the understanding and notion of what literature is, or what language is, and that it's not self-explaining, or yeah. But then again, in a political kind of sense, just doing this and not so much talking about it, just taking it for granted as a publisher that German literature need not be German. Or then again, what does it mean to call it even German literature? So if it's written by people living in these territories, and so yeah, so the territory of the language, or of communities, and how you're building these. And yesterday I wanted to ask Alvaro, because he was talking about living in Norway, but still most of the time dealing with Portuguese, and addressing or feeding from a Portuguese literature. What does this mean? Who are the communities we are dealing with? Is there a European or a global community of literature or of poetry, and how can we translate constantly, and being aware that translating means changing, and that lots of things cannot be translated, and being aware of that even if we translate, it might not help understand. Just maybe like to this point.